Sometime after I uploaded the first episode of Holiday Jeer, it was suggested to me that maybe I needed a more holiday-themed hat. I mean, my little avatar on the title card has a holiday hat. The little hat icons I use to rate my film reviews with are all holiday hat themed, so why don't I have a holiday hat? Well, good point. So, I got one. Check it out. Holiday hat. I hope I don't look as stupid as I feel.
So fine trumpet, it ain't Christmas. You know when it goes jingle bells. If I ain't hammered, it ain't hunker. La la la, go fuck yourself.
Today we're looking at A Cinderella Christmas, by which I mean a 2016 made-for-TV movie that most likely aired on the Hallmark Channel, because when I'm watching it, there's hardly any other place I can imagine this airing. Except maybe ABC. And even then, it'd probably be a place filler. I specify this information not only to be a better film critic, but also because any initial attempt at trying to find this ended up resulting in me finding a completely different Cinderella Christmas, which is a pantomime musical. And if you ask me personally, I kind of wish I'd seen that one, because at least that one sounds interesting. If I'm being entirely honest, the idea of a Cinderella Christmas story in general just sounded interesting. Like, maybe not fascinating or even mesmerizing, but yeah, I'm genuinely interested in seeing how on earth you take the story of Cinderella and make it Christmas themed. On top of that, I'm very interested in how you set the Cinderella story in a modern time when women aren't, like, property. You know, women have equal rights and everybody is all, you know, you can fall in love with whoever you want, it doesn't matter. I'm genuinely interested in seeing that. Then I ended up watching this movie, and A Cinderella Christmas follows Angie, who assumes the Cinderella role of the Cinderella story. She's overworked, underappreciated, constantly tormented by the girl who will be filling the wicked stepsister role, her cousin Candace, and she hopes to inherit her father's party planning business when he retires. Unfortunately, that's not exactly how things go. Father decides, you both should have the party planning business, which leads to Candace deciding, yeah, I'm the boss now. Do as I say or you're fired, bitch. In typical Cinderella story fashion, there's a masquerade ball, in this not so much with princes and kings in this case, but with very wealthy celebrities and philanthropists and corporate billionaire type people, you know the drill. Big ass rich guy. And he's gonna be picking out the girl who he falls in love with at this dance. Cinderella is forbidden to go to the masquerade ball, so she ends up going incognito via the power of her fairy godmother, or in the case of this movie, some rando at a dress shop. She gets a fancy dress, she gets fancy shoes, I guess. To tell you the truth, I think they might have glossed over the fancy shoe aspect entirely in this story in favor of Christmas stockings, which I suppose counts. I mean, stockings technically were footwear at one point, and depending on what website you look at, they still are. Don't judge me! So unfortunately, Candace can't make the masquerade dance because she ends up getting a really nasty rash from a diamond facial. And I remember asking this out loud on my Twitter over at TommyTealHat, and nobody actually answered, but diamond facial, is that actually a thing? That can't be a thing. Of course I say that, but then I remember finding out that gold-flaked wedding cake that got featured on King of the Hill during that Lucky and Luann wedding, I remember that apparently is actually a thing, so you know what? Diamond facial, why not? It sounds ridiculous to me, but I don't know the first thing about beauty products and beauty, you know, beautification processes outside of getting a haircut, so what do I know? So Cinderella goes to the masquerade ball, has a dance with Prince Charming, leaves her stocking behind at midnight because she can't be seen there, and the Prince Charming character, in this case a guy named Nicholas, accidentally mistakes Candace for the woman he met at the masquerade ball. And Candace says, if you let me get married to Nicholas, I'll let you have the party planning business. You just have to coach me on how to be you. And suddenly this stops being Cinderella, and it suddenly becomes Cyrano talking to Tristan behind the bushes. A very, very stupid Tristan. In fact, dare I say, possibly even like cartoonishly stupid. I mean, the only person I could think of on Earth who could be this stupid is probably something like, I don't know, Peter Griffin. And even then, it's like cartoonishly stupid. This entire fucking movie was pretty much cartoonish in this aspect, to the point where I said out loud, my god, the Disney Cinderella wasn't this much of a cartoon, and that was a literal cartoon. Did Angie ever hook up with Nicholas? Technically, I didn't watch the end of the movie because at this point I was so frustratingly bored with this movie, but at the same time, I will not be shocked if the answer ends up being yes, because this movie right here was by the numbers. And it's right about here where I find myself lamenting the fact I decided to do a holiday special for the entire month of December, because good God, so many Christmas movies are like this. They're boring, they're saccharine sweet, you already know how they're going to end, to the point where it's like, why even watch? There's no suspense. Like, okay, I get it, you know, a lot of Christmas movies happen to be rom-coms, and in their defense, I'm not a big rom-com guy to begin with, so it's probably not my demographic, but at the same time, it's like, you can't possibly seriously think for 1 minute that the protagonist is going to lose in this movie. I can tell you right out the gate how this movie is going to play out the moment I sit for the first 5 minutes and get all the character names and who's who and whatnot, and I already know how this is going to end. In the grand scheme of things, I hesitate to say this movie is bad. Like I said, rom-coms aren't really my arena of expertise. If anything, I just found this movie to be boring. I mean, I was literally spending more time updating my Twitter and live tweeting what I was going through while watching this movie than I was actually watching this movie. I didn't really find any reason to watch this movie because I could look up from my phone at random points and I'd know exactly where I was in the movie. Admittedly, the part where Angie had to coach Candace on how to be Angie was probably the most interesting and original thing this movie did when it deviated from the Cinderella plot. Well, that and the fact that there seemed to be no focus on seeing who had a glass slipper, but let's be honest, how the hell would you make that work in the modern day? In fact, really, how did that even work back then? Because surely Cinderella did not have an uncommon shoe size, right? Like, that plan falls apart the moment you realize that every third woman in the entire kingdom is a size 6 or whatever. I don't know what a common woman's shoe size is. In the long run, maybe you could add an extra hat if you're into rom-coms, but for me, personally, 1 hat out of 4.